The problem with psychiatry and addiction comes and goes with we do not have tangible reports. We do not have a blood report or a sugar report.
Dr. Rohan Bokrawala is a psychiatrist at Messina Hospital specializing in addiction with a focus on emotional and psychological factors driving addictive behaviors across all age groups.
Can someone be struggling with addiction without it showing and it looks like they're living a good life, but they're actually struggling?
When you talk about dependence and addiction specifically, there is a pattern called abuse. Abuse pattern is very different.
I always hear of people go to rehabs and come back and then they start again.
So there are two businesses in this world that I am aware of, which I know are not going to fail. One is a casino business and one is a rehab business.
Can you explain mood disorders and something as simple as bipolar, which I think is also misunderstood by a common man?
As the name suggests, bipolar. There are two poles to it. One is the high and the low pole.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean कि आज सवेरे मेरा मूड अच्छा था, शाम को बुरा है तो मैं bipolar हूँ. ऐसा नहीं है. As I said, sustained for 2-3 months. It's not about victory and loss when we deal with mental health. It's a part of life. You need to align with the fact that you are going to have bad days, good days. You deal with strong, weak, good, bad, white, black, everything. That learn to embrace the grays.
Dr. Rohan, addiction is often seen as drugs or alcohol. Do you think there are other habits that contribute to addiction? And if yes, what are they?
So the meaning and definition of addiction, also we use the term dependence, is when you do something excessively and it starts hampering your social, professional, occupational, financial, any aspect of your life more than what it should. And if it lasts for a significant period of time now, just because you do something for 2 days doesn't become addiction or something, but if it's something that's become a pattern and you also know it's bad for you, and somebody's told you it's bad and you're trying to get out of it, but you're not able to get out of it. That's when you use the word dependence for it. Alcohol, cannabis, drugs, cigarette, nicotine are the common ones. The ones which are not so much on the radar nowadays, coffee. It's a big addiction of coffee. We've had clients who come with that. They can't function without coffee. They need an excessive amount of caffeine. Gambling, very, very big addiction. Now, gambling doesn't always have to be poker khela ya teen patti khela. Nowadays, it's stock market gambling, which is F&O and trading and all that kind of stuff. Or you're just gambling on the Sensex at any point. There is matka, there is satta, there is whatever they do, lottery tickets. You see, there's such huge businesses because of this. Sex addiction, porn addiction, where there's an obsession to watch porn over and over and over again. That's why it's one of the largest industries in the world.
Correct.
70% of internet traffic, even now after so many years, is pornography only. So these are the others which usually are not mentioned openly, but are very, very, very common that we see in our day-to-day practice, or we see or we read about. Gambling, porn, sex, whatever it is.
So your entire journey of handling addicts and addiction, tell me what is the main age range that you see that comes to you?
Age range, primarily you'll see 60-65% of them fit in the bracket of 16, 17. It's becoming younger. It's becoming 15 now, 14, 15. And up to say about 45 is the main age. So after 45, I've got clients and patients who are there. I've got 60 years old, I've got 70 years old, I've got 85-year-old clients also with me. But the numbers are definitely lesser, but that main cluster is 15 to 45. That's the major cluster.
Do you find it surprising that the age has become so much younger?
Yesterday evening, there was a client who's telling me that her younger sister's class in a very reputed school was suspended because in the 4th standard, they were found vaping.
Yeah.
4th standard, they were 9 years old.
I'm aware of this.
So I was like, ridiculous. So, and that's when I was like, okay, now the age group is just becoming younger and younger and younger. So that's where you're at. It is.
You think addiction is something that people think would visually show in someone's life? You know, when you see alcoholics and you start to see their life deteriorating, that's when people think, oh, he's going through addiction. But do you think, can someone be struggling with addiction without it showing and it looks like they're living a good life, but they're actually struggling?
There are lots of people who can mask it if they want to. However, by and large, after about 8, 10, 12 months, 15 months, 18 months, either the health signs will show, it'll show on your face, it'll show on your body, or it'll start affecting your business, it'll start affecting other aspects of your life. You could be high functioning up to a certain point, after which it will start deteriorating because this consumes you entirely. When you talk about dependence and addiction specifically, There is a pattern called abuse. Abuse pattern is very different, where it's like a binge pattern, where they know that for 2-3 months कुछ नहीं करेंगे, but चलना भी Thailand गए या तो Vegas गए या कुछ किया तो let's go for a casino or let's go here, and then just for the 5-7 days they'll be on a bender or they'll do something. That's a different pattern. Not only Vegas, you can do it in Bombay also, where
Correct.
you know okay, every weekend only I will drink, or every 14th day only I will drink, or whatever. They have these things. When I meet these friends, I'll drink, or with my school friends. Other than that, the dependence may it's so consuming that it starts affecting these basic 3 things that social life, financial life, personal professional life में गड़बड़ होती ही है. आप कितना भी ट्राई कर लो छुपाना, एक वक्त तक छुप जाएगा, उसके बाद आप नहीं कर पाओगे. It will be very difficult to do that.
What's the one surprising emotion do you think that is beneath all of this addiction?
It's not one, firstly. There is a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of fear. They are not able to face a large part of society and themselves sometimes. And कहावत है जहाँ हम रिहैबो में काम करते थे, जैसे कि जो शराबी रहता है, जो अल्कोहलिक एडिक्ट रहता है, वो बहुत डरपोक रहता है. दारू पीने के बाद बड़ा शेर बन जाता है, उसके पहले बहुत डरपोक रहता है. अंदर से they can't handle anxiety, they can't handle fear, so they use this as a, not all of them.
Yeah.
Some of them definitely drink when they are depressed, sad, upset, low, whatever else is going on in their lives. But a lot of people do it when they're angry. They don't know how to handle their anger, their frustration, that things are not going my way, what to do, so let's drink. So it depends on in which part of your coping cycle alcohol or the addiction entered, and then a large part of them do it for lack of any other outlet. They're just bored people. So they go into gambling, or they go into trading, or they go into whatever that they go into. So that's just the dopamine thrill that they're getting through that, where then they feel मैं health तो खराब नहीं कर रहा हूँ, जा रहा है पैसा, क्या फर्क पड़ता है, मैं ही कमा रहा हूँ, मैं ही उड़ा रहा हूँ. Not
Correct.
the ones जो बाप के उड़ाते हैं, जो खुद के उड़ाते थे. And you have no answer to them. You're like, okay fine, मैं क्या बोलूँ, मैंने ही बनाया 5 करोड़, मैंने ही उड़ाया 8 करोड़, मेरी मर्जी, मैं जेल जाऊंगा, मुझे चलता है. So you can't do anything. It's simple as that in such people.
The young clients that you have, the ones you mentioned between 15 and 25, what is the large range of addiction there?
Alcohol, nicotine, cannabis, primarily these 3, because these 3 are easily available. Alcohol and nicotine are legal. Cannabis is sub-legal, para-legal it's become now, because half the people are now using CBD oil and using a lot of stuff, although it's illegal only. And the cost and accessibility is very easy for these 3 things. So ये 3 चीज तो होता ही है. Vaping has become the commonest thing, where people are like, now I've stopped smoking, but I'm vaping now, it's much healthier and all rubbish. It causes equal damage because you're doing an X number of puffs, which is 10x of what you would do with a cigarette. So
Correct.
damage तो उतना ही होने वाला है, आप कितना भी कर लो.
Also, you can do it anywhere.
Anywhere, anyhow. Although
Yeah.
vapes are banned in India. The greatest part is that vapes are banned in India, but it's now everywhere, in urban centers at least. So this is what it is. The higher level of designer, brown sugar is very common. Brown sugar is very common. Brown sugar is the adulterated version of heroin. Heroin is very expensive. Brown sugar costs 100 rupees for a pudi. Heroin will cost you 2,000 to 5,000 rupees for that same amount.
Brown sugar. I've
Brown
never
sugar.
heard of this word.
Oh, it's a very, very common opioid. It belongs to the group of morphine opioid drugs, which have the worst physical withdrawal symptoms, because it's morphine, which is given as a painkiller, which is used to numb you down, to relax you, and anti-cancer, cancer drugs and chemotherapy, the pain that is caused in fractures and all. So analogous to that, very similar to that, you get something called as heroin. Now, the whole Punjab belt, the whole Manipur belt and all, they do this only. The major thing is they mix it with cough syrup.
Oh,
You would have heard of Hafeem. If you've not heard of Hafeem, Hafeem is a very commonly used.
I think I heard of it when I was a
Yeah.
kid. It was something that was quite common
So
back
in
then.
the Rajasthan Punjab belt,
Yeah.
it's actually used in certain family occasions and gatherings as a, like how we give pan, like
Yeah.
a mukhwas to nahi, but like an after meal or something, and it's supposed to be good for your health at some level. But if it's done once in a while, they do it regularly, and then it becomes, so brown sugar is also a very common addiction. Cheap, easily available. Most of it is mixed with kachra, like glass and chalk.
Oh
and
my God.
रोड का जो तार बनने का asphalt आता है, या कुछ भी डाल देते अंदर, नींद की गोलियां भी मिक्स कर देते ताकि मजा तो आए उसको. At least he's knocked out. Withdrawal is very bad. Brown sugar withdrawal is one of the worst, most difficult to handle. You have to be in a hospital most of the times to handle it.
So tell me, do you think by and large, whoever's addicted to whatever, it may be a habit, it may be a substance, like you mentioned, it could be a way of being. Do you think all of this is to numb yourself or run away from your own life?
No, as I mentioned, a large part of it is, but a large part of it is also to get the escape or the dopamine hit that is not there, where it need not be to numb, it may be to get the high that I'm looking. So people who do uppers are primarily people who are bored or they've just got nothing else to do or they've got things. So they don't know how to deal with it.
It's just that thrill of that one game they've
Yes.
won or that one number they've hit. So tell me, you are dealing with people with addictions from morning to night. How does it affect your mental health?
You just learn to cut off. You just learn to cut off at a certain level where when you know it's time to cut. I deal with an inpatient as well as outpatient departments, different units. Outpatient to aata hai, आधा घंटा बैठता है, पौने घंटा बैठता है. We discuss, we see what their plan, then we draw out a plan, we chart out what we need to do with them. And if they follow up, well and good. If they don't, that's their issue. Inpatients are the ones who get admitted, who need withdrawal management, who need a little bit more time, who require the family to be counseled. They do, I won't say they play on your mind, but you can't avoid interacting because when there's one primary patient who's involved, there'll be 4 other satellites with the mother, the father, the son, the daughter, the uncle, aunt, whoever it is. And you have to entertain them also. More than entertain, you have to educate them. That's very important. And educate them about their expectations. So when we're dealing with the patient, it's not only the patient, it's always the 4 or 5 people around the patient who need more or equal amounts of attention, treatment, and education. Today, there are a lot of myths and misconceptions thanks to Google, thanks to everybody who thinks they know everything. A lot of smart Alex roaming around who think that, oh, I did this, so I should be the one giving gyan or whatever. And the basic lack of trust when you are actually with a professional, trust the professional.
Correct.
If I go to a hairstylist and teach that hairstylist ki mera wala aise, I can ask them for a particular style, but I can't tell them itna hi aisa karo aur waisa karo and do that. So when you come to a doctor, when you come to anybody else, just trust the professional and their advice. At least for a certain amount of time before you just jump the gun and say Google said this but and my mother said this but and Babaji said this and Guruji said that. So good, you believe all that. I have no problem. But then don't discount my advice. And then afterwards when it fails, just blame me singularly and everybody else was right or something like that. So it just becomes like that.
As far as alcohol addiction is concerned, I always hear of people go to rehabs and come back and then they start again. Or cocaine addiction, people go there, they spend time, they come back, they start again. Why is it that these are the 2 areas, or this is what I've heard most commonly, that there's so much relapse?
So there are 2 businesses in this world that I am aware of, which I know are not going to fail. One is a casino business and one is a rehab business because both of them have such the relapse rates are so high worldwide. When you go to any rehab, you go to the best rehab which is there in the UK or US, which is Malibu रहेगा या Kent में रहेगा, England में या कहीं भी है, Bangkok or Thailand में तो पूरा Chiang Mai has become one rehab city or state or whatever district only. In Chiang Mai there are like 20 rehabs, 30 rehabs, 50, God knows how many are there. So the thing is they thrive because they know that once एक बार एक patient आ गया ना, once they are comfortable, we know कि आगे जाके 4-6 महीने में वापस ये इधर ही आएगा once you come.
Forever customer.
Because the relapse rates, when I say relapse, is that somebody who starts using within 1 year of stopping it. तो हम 2-3 महीना छुड़वा भी सकते हैं, उसके बाद the relapse rate 80%, 70% relapse rates है. तो patient तो वापस आने ही वाला है तुम्हारे पास. अगर तुमने उसकी थोड़ी बहुत भी अच्छी बहुत सेवा कर दी तो आएगा वापस. So the point is, तुम जितनी बार रखोगे उतना improvement आएगा ही धीरे धीरे. And जितना तुम forcefully नहीं रखोगे, voluntarily जितना जाना चाहता है, however often the client feels finally that I want to actually give up, that's when it works the best. In some cases, you just have to do it involuntarily. You have to use the powers of the police and the court and all and do it when you see that it's a big threat to their life and all. But otherwise, that's just good for detox management. But if their mental makeup is not there, they will keep on relapsing because they feel like it's not a big thing. They'll be in denial. Their most common coping mechanism is denial. They're like, मुझे कुछ problem ही नहीं. मैं तो अभी पीता हूँ, कभी पीता हूँ. Then they'll minimize everything. They just, मैं कुछ नहीं, वो कितना पीता है देखना कभी एक बार, या तो वो चाचा का बेटा देखना ये करता है, आंटी का अंकल ये करता है, वो करता है. And they will never let it come onto themselves. So these 2-3 mechanisms are very much involved when you're dealing with any substance use. So understanding ही नहीं है, insight ही नहीं, awareness ही नहीं है, तो फिर treatment कहाँ से होने वाला है?
So what is the ratio between men and women that you see?
It's definitely skewed 3:1 in the favor of men at least. Urban centers, you can say 60-30, but as you go into tier 1, tier 2 and all, it's definitely 75-25 or maybe even 80-20. But 60-40 in urban centers, 60-65-35, you can say now. I can't give you exact facts. If you're asking me what I see, definitely that's what the numbers are.
Why do you think it's men more than women?
See, there is a genetic makeup, there is a DNA that's just there in men, which is slightly more, say, testosterone does make you more aggressive at times, make you more reckless at times. It does give you a sense of a little bit of power and this and that. So, and till very recently, say 10, 15, 20 years back, the men were the ones who were making the money and handling the finances and all. Since you have to have money to get access to all these things most of the times. So it was looked at more as a male bastion initially. Now, with all the benefits that have come with women empowerment and women being financially independent, this also has come. And it's going to be there. There's nothing that's segregated in that sense.
So, like you said, the genetic makeup, as far as I see, when we are kids, women are taught to emotionally regulate. Men are asked to hide their emotions, get over it, suppress. So I feel when there's no emotional regulation growing up, I think when they reach that adult stage of 30, 35, they are more likable to land into addiction. Do you think that could be another cause?
Definitely, that could be one of the causes. Although that is changing now. What you said about when you were growing up. So when our generation was growing up, maybe, it was said, not said. Nowadays, it's not said at all that you should hide your emotions and you should show your emotions and you should regulate it. 20 years back, yes, definitely it was done. 50 years back, 100% was done. So that's changing. But it's definitely a factor, of course, that they don't have any outlet at that point in time as per what you're trying to say. I understand what you're trying to say. कि कुछ नहीं है तो फिर यही करना पड़ेगा. अभी कहाँ से कुछ समझेगा नहीं कि मुझे असली दुख कितना है अंदर में, कितना तड़प रहा हूँ, ये कर रहा हूँ, या बिजनेस में ऐसा चल रहा है, जॉब में वो चल रहा है. सबसे अच्छा साथी रम या जिन या जो भी मिल जाता है वो करेंगे बैठ के. Agreed.
So yeah, I that is my understanding of it, that I think the emotional regulation part plays a huge role.
Yeah.
Parents investing into their boys emotionally, I feel like was lacking, at least till our generation was concerned.
Correct.
And that could have been a huge reason. I don't know what the reason is today when the young youth are taking to it, like you said, as old as 15, 16, because they're the very privileged generation. They are born with the iPad, they're born with technology, they're born with awareness. So I don't know why they are landing into this. Why do you think what is the main reason?
But you've given the answer there, that you've got everything. So now what do I do to seek a thrill? What's the novelty left in life? So now these are the only things that you're aware of. There are lots of things that are there, but the ones I'm aware of is that I'm seeing my friend doing this, I'm seeing my senior do this, I'm seeing some colleague do this. Okay, fine, let's try. मजा आ रहा है उसको, मुझे भी आएगा ये. मेरे पास सब कुछ तो आपने दे दिया है, पहले दिन से मेरे पास सब कुछ. I don't have to work for money or for this or for that. Okay, chalo, let's find some other alternative high.
Yeah, I think it's scary that
it is.
Everything is so easily available to the next generation, and that makes them seek thrills with other things like you said, vaping, smoking, drinking, or any form of addiction.
There's no level. There's no limit to it.
ADHD is becoming a very hot topic online, and I think it's a term that's very loosely used by everybody, and I think everyone's almost self-diagnosing themselves with it. Can you explain what it is and how do we actually have it or not?
The full form is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. It's got a laundry list of about 18-20 symptoms that you need to have 5-6 of any of the two to be diagnosed to have those things. It used to primarily be seen and diagnosed in children prior to the age of 14-15, and then people felt कि अभी इसकी चंचलता, इसकी रेस्टलेसनेस निकल जाएगी, एक बार वो काम पे लग जाएगा या कॉलेज जाएगा या कुछ तो करेगा. स्कूल में एक जगह बैठता नहीं था, मस्ती करता था, आउट ऑफ टर्न आंसर देना, not able to wait in a queue or in a line, or your focus is just not there, you're doing 50 things at the same time, let's do this, you can't finish one task also, इधर रख दिया, अच्छा वो भूल गया, ये हो गया, forgot your rubber in school. School में ये सब हो जाता है. In school, you're responsible only for your studies. At that point in time, you're graded and judged, and everything in life is only about how well you studied and how well you've done in sports or studies or one or. तब तक तुम किसी के रास्ते नहीं हट रहे थे, you were fine. अब तुम 18, 20, 22 के हो गए हो. Now suddenly you're able to still not focus, you're still not able to understand. You're in a job, you're in a business, and at that time you weren't diagnosed, and you may or may not have had learning disabilities, which are the biggest causes of these things going unnoticed. Where you felt ये तो बुद्धू है, इसको समझता नहीं है, पढ़ने नहीं आता है, समझता सब है बट लिखने नहीं आता है, हिसाब नहीं आता है, one of these things, dyslexia or whatever. So because you're not able to understand, your attention is not there in a large part of them. or in some people it's just there. Nearly 30% of all children have ADHD-like symptoms.
Correct.
And उसमें से 1% भी डायग्नोज होते हैं कि नहीं होते, पता नहीं जिनको एक्सेस है या नहीं है. तो बाकी लोग तो बड़े हो गए हैं. अब बड़े होने के बाद अचानक इंटरनेट पे भूचाल आ गया है, इंस्टाग्राम पे सब जगह पे, कि अरे तो आपको तो ये 4 सिम्टम आ गए मतलब होगा. तो यू हैव these self assessment PDFs that are available which you can just Google, fill up, and by and large hoga bhi. There is nothing wrong in having it. It's okay. It's just that fine, go to a professional. There'll be 50 factors that you can find out as to why this has happened. Many of them have it sudden onset. So sudden onset वालों को we give them more time. But people who we take a detailed history ना, उनका निकलता ही है कि उनको बचपन से ही थोड़ा थोड़ा कुछ ना कुछ था ही, where they always had these issues. They either had self-esteem issues, they had issues with learning disabilities, as I mentioned,
Attention span,
or they just felt that they were not fit enough to be praised, or they were always criticized by parents or by teachers, and they felt this was the only way they got the attention was by doing masti or by being chanchal. So होते रहता है, and then it becomes a way of life for them, and then हो जाता है आगे जाके. So diagnosis करो by all means, but don't call up a doctor and say मुझे अभी ADHD गोली भेज दो, क्योंकि वो गोली is as good as a drug. Very safe, very regulated, but has to be dispensed by a medical expert. Certain doses only for certain times only. You can't be like मुझे हमेशा खानी है, ये करना है, वो. It helped me a lot, and I've read on the internet about Adderall and Vyvanse and Ritalin, and सबको अमेरिकन नाम मालूम है, जो इंडिया में मिलता है किसी को नाम मालूम नहीं है. मैं बोले ये तो अजीब है यार, पहली बार सुना है. You don't know anything that's available in India because none of these are available in India.
Yeah.
You get their other variants called Concerta and other primary brands. Very helpful as long as they are regulated and taken in decent quantity. Very helpful in ADHD, very helpful in certain substance dependence also. Cocaine dependence हो या कुछ uppers का dependence हो ना, so this is a good replacement at times. It works very well. It gives them that desired.
I've spoken to a few people, who study abroad and come back. And a lot of them, I've heard them saying Adderall is the most common thing. We all take it for focus. We all take it before exams. Every human being should take it. It really changes your way of thinking. But then I'm thinking it's not a drug that should be so casually
Absolutely.
taken. What are your thoughts on that?
So Adderall is amphetamine. It is amphetamine. Now, amphetamines are really powerful uppers which do get your senses and focus all in line when you're doing it. Now, the people you are talking about are a very small population actually if you go to look at it. But it's just that because we are surrounded by this and we are actively seeking this information, it's coming out more and more. That you should take it, and it's the best thing. It doesn't suit everybody, number one. It causes intense palpitations in a lot of people. It can lead to psychosis in some people. It can look a lot of weight loss, immense appetite decrease. It ruins your sleep. And it causes a lot of other problems, and it's very addictive also. एक छोड़ के तुम दूसरा ही ले रहे हो, वैसे ही हो जाते बात. It is helpful if it's regulated, and what we do is we tell people to take it 2-3 times a week. If it's required, you've got a big presentation or you've got to work on some big audit or some litigation work or whatever, something that requires too much attention, then it can. Some people require it on a more regular basis, definitely. So, but that the professional will decide.
Correct.
They do it on their own. They're like, मेरे को मालूम है अभी मैं 2 गोली से आज अच्छा हो जाऊंगा, आज एक ही खाऊंगा, आज 2 ही खाऊंगा. Playing around with it, and these are dangerous things. At the end of the day, they're altering your mind chemicals, which can lead to problematic things. Overdosing can cause seizures and all. So we need to be careful.
I think people don't understand the difference, or people try to deny themselves. Like you said, most people are in denial.
Yes.
I think they deny themselves of this information. So they'll see alcohol as a drug, cocaine as a drug, but when they're taking medication to enhance any senses, they don't see that as a drug. They're like, in the end, it's medication. It helps me focus. It helps me look at things better. So I think there's a lot of disbalance there.
So the entire propaganda worldwide regarding cannabis today is this only. That it's medicinal, herbal, natural, organic, good for health, treatment of cancer, glaucoma. बोलते रहोगे, चलते रहेगा वो. यूरुग्वे has made it legal, कनाडा में लीगल है, आधे यूएस में लीगल है, बार्सिलोना में लीगल करने वाले. हम यहाँ क्यों नहीं करते, वो क्यों नहीं करते? क्योंकि तुमको सिर्फ गुण दिखाई दे रहे हैं और तुमको दिखाया जा रहा है क्योंकि इसमें पैसा बहुत है.
Correct.
थाईलैंड की इकोनॉमी 6 to 7 times बढ़ गई है just after they've legalized cannabis, which is a huge thing. But as a clinician, as a psychiatrist, I see only the downside. And I see practically in my OPD on a daily basis, I see 3 to 4 people who've gone psychotic because of cannabis, which is never promoted. And now slowly, the Guardian and the New York Times and all these other bigger publications are coming out with research that what has happened in the last 5 years since they've liberalized the use of cannabis, the amount of dementia, the amount of psychosis, the amount of people going into something called as amotivation, where they're just dull and just lost. They won't, I'll tell them to pass that, they'll be like, छोड़ना है, देख लेंगे, पता नहीं. It's just become 10x because of this opening up of the markets. So now again there's fear. Oh my God, अभी तो हमने खोल दिया है, अभी अचानक बंद कर देंगे तो ये information का chaos हो जाएगा, dissonance आ जाएगा, तो क्या करेंगे? So that's where the problem is.
Can you tell us the most interesting patient you've had in the last 1 year in terms of addiction, where the patient's in denial, the family's in denial, but you can clearly see that this is a really bad case of addiction?
There are many. But patient is in denial, so is the commonest thing. You'll see that practically across the board, where 30-40% of them just are brought forcefully by the family members or by the spouse or by the children or somebody ke bhai karwa ke. Very rarely will you find the family and the patient in denial. The family would be in denial of the extent of the illness or the extent or the magnitude के कितना बिगड़ा हुआ है. They are like, हाँ ठीक है, उसमें क्या बड़ी बात है, अभी हम तो बड़े घर के या तो छोटे घर के, दारू तो कॉमन है या तो अल्कोहल या कैनबिस नॉर्मल है, ये है वो है. So they also enable the patient by minimizing this aspect of it, which is the problem. That is where the problem lies. Patient in denial is very common. That is our job, no? That bring it from a phase of denial to some sort of acceptance and motivation that भाई problem है, दिख नहीं रही है, हमको दिख रही है. Family mostly तो denial में इतना नहीं रहता है. They are in denial, as I said, about how bad it is or how grave the situation can be. वो सिर्फ जब ब्लड रिपोर्ट खराब आती है या लिवर फटा हुआ निकलता है या दिमाग में कुछ गड्ढे निकलते हैं, तब दे आर लाइक, ओ माय गॉड, आपने बताया क्यों नहीं? लाइक सब 2-3 साल से तो बता ही रहे थे, आप सुन नहीं रहे थे.
Yeah, otherwise I think they just see it as a habit gone wrong. They see it as, oh, bichara is suffering, can you just help him out? It's more like on the surface level.
Absolutely. The problem with psychiatry and addiction comes and goes with, we do not have tangible reports. We do not have a blood report or a sugar report to show कि भाई इतना अल्कोहल बॉडी में खराब हो रहा है, इतना अरे सब ठीक हो गया ना, 2 हफ्ते में ठीक हो जाएगा. So that's how they go.
Can you explain mood disorders and something as simple as bipolar, which I think is also misunderstood by a common man?
Yes. So firstly, it's not as simple as mood disorders. Mood disorders are very complex. It's a very, very vast topic. And mood doesn't mean आज मम्मी ने पराठे नहीं बनाया तो मूड खराब है. That is not a mood disorder. Oh, I've got a mood disorder now. For 2 days I'll be upset that she didn't talk to me properly. A mood disorder, again, as I said, with addiction also, that anything that lasts for more than 4 to 6 months where there's a sustained sense of feeling either low or high or whatever or anxious, and it's not letting you function as appropriately as you usually or optimally do. That is what a mood disorder is. Now, there are classification में depression is the commonest major depressive disorder. Then there is something called as bipolar disorder. As the name suggests, bipolar. There are 2 poles to it. One is the high,
One's
low
low.
pole.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean कि आज सवेरे मेरा मूड अच्छा था, शाम को बुरा है तो मैं bipolar हूँ. ऐसा नहीं है. As I said, sustained for 2-3 months, you'll be very manic and euphoric and excited and you won't sleep, you want to have sex and you'll talk and you'll spend and you'll feel like all powerful and grandiose. You'll be like, अरे शाहरुख तो मेरा भाई है यार, अमिताभ जी तो मैं उनके साथ चाय पीता हूँ. You'll talk like that only. You'll be like, अरे 100 करोड़ क्या है मैं तो. And or you'll even go to a spiritual zone sometimes. कि आज मेरी अल्लाह से बात हुई, आज भगवान से बात हुई or something like that. You'll get into those kind of zones. And then comes a gradual dip and then comes a crash where you go into a completely opposite side for 2, 3, 4 months. These are all arbitrary numbers, which could be feeling helpless, feeling low, I can't even get up and walk till the sofa, I can't even go and eat my chai. कुछ भी नहीं हो रहा है, मर जाता हूँ, जीना नहीं है, लाइफ में कुछ भी हो रहा है, गलत ही हो रहा है. And it's most of the times without a trigger.
So these
There
are
is
complete personality switches that are happening.
of mood that happen without any big trigger or anything like that. थोड़ा बहुत होता ही है गड़बड़ इधर उधर लाइफ में, but it depends on what you consider गड़बड़.
Correct.
So this is what bipolar. It's very crude way of saying it. This is how bipolar functions. And bipolar तो lifelong ये fluctuation चलते रहते हैं. It starts at 17, 18, 19 maybe. Goes on till 40, 50, 70 also we see it. In some cases में worsening होता है, some cases में improvement आता है. But 1-2 गोली से बहुत ठीक हो जाते हैं सब लोग. Then there is anxiety disorders. Anxiety disorders are the commonest disorders in the world. I don't know anybody who's not gone through anxiety. And when the anxiety stops you from performing whatever you're supposed to do, becomes an anxiety disorder. You have panic attacks, you have generalized anxiety, then you have OCD. This also comes under a little bit of mood anxiety के अंदर ही आता है, where you know what OCD is. It's the need to be
Obsessive
obsessed about
compulsive.
certain things, in control and want things to be clean and tidy. One example, you do everything in numbers or even numbers, odd numbers, whatever. But all these are primarily due to a chemical called serotonin and a chemical called dopamine. These are the two major regulators of psychiatric problems, especially mood disorders. So we just need to regulate these, and these are very easy to control with therapy, with medication, very easy to control.
Do you think therapy is a very big part of psychiatry? Because a lot of people, I feel, have this attitude like, give him the medication, he will get okay. Put her on the right medication, and I think within 4 months, we'll see the changes. But if you don't deal with the demons,
Correct.
Deep down, you will keep going back to the medication. That's one thing. But how will you actually fix the person?
So let's take any orthopedic surgery, for example. You do a ACL replacement, you do a फ्रैक्चर रिप्लेसमेंट हमने डॉक्टर क्या करेगा आके रिपेयर कर देगा उसको बट उसके बाद का जो रिहैब करना है फिजियो करना है वो आपको करना है दैट फिजियो इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इट्स as equal. So I cannot say just do physio or I cannot say just do the surgery. We have to have a mix of both. So the same way psychiatry works, that you need the medicine for the regulation of the chemical imbalance that's there. That's not going to regulate on its own no matter what you do. And you also need therapy, the right kind of therapist depending on what set problems you got. Diabetes. You can't solve diabetes only by dieting or by running from here to wherever you want to run. You can run the whole day. You can run from Dadar to Kolaba the whole day, but तुम्हें गोली नहीं खाओगे तो ठीक नहीं होने वाले हो. It's as simple as that. And the same thing applies. सिर्फ गोली भी खाने से कुछ नहीं हो. तुम गोली खाओगे बट फिर पूरा केक खाओगे, गुलाब जामुन खाओगे या कुछ भी खाओगे without the exercise, it's going to worsen. Same thing applies here. The same principle, similar principles, that you need the medicine, you need the therapy, you need an amalgamation of both in the right doses. And you need to trust. The first thing, you need to trust the therapist and the doctor who's treating you that तेरे भले के लिए बैठे भाई, हमको क्या मिलने वाला है कुछ गड़बड़ गलत गोली देके या सिर्फ गोली देके या सिर्फ थेरेपी देके. Not going to use.
Yeah, I think the attitude towards therapy is one of the reasons why I started this, because the attitude toward therapy is like, we don't need it. I don't need it at all. I'm perfectly fine. But I think large understanding has to come from the fact that the person who's giving it to you, the person who's sitting there to listen to your demons or your worries or your whatever you're going through, it's not pleasurable for anybody. It is there for your benefit. So I think that what you said is very right, that why doesn't the person understand that it is only for their benefit, whether it's the medicine or it's the therapy or it's the conversation or it's anything. So what do you think is the link between attention issues and addictions?
So when we are dealing with an addict, usually they come to us at whatever age they come to us. When we take a detailed history, a large number of them, close to 50-60% of them will have a history of either some sort of anxiety since they were 14, 15, 17, 18, or some sort of ADHD-like symptoms which were there only, which did not let their mind rest. Their mind was constantly in turmoil, or ये करना है, वो करना है, इधर जाना है. तो एक unwound, carefree mind कभी था ही नहीं. It was always wound up. It was always, what is going to happen, this and that. And at 16, 17, they get exposed to cannabis or they get exposed to alcohol, and suddenly the brain stops. And they feel so nice. They're like, wow, where was this for so many years? But till 15, 17 years, I've just been struggling with not able to focus on one chapter or one this thing because my mind was running. And now this is just shut everything down. चलो 2 घंटा 1 घंटा जो भी है, बट ये रहता है तुम्हारे बॉडी में 4-6 घंटे के लिए असर करते रहता है. उससे ऊपर तो असर होती नहीं है. Although it sticks in your body for long, but the effect is only for that much time. So that's when the addiction comes in. That's when you need it more and more and more and more, that, oh, I need more doses of this. I can be calmer for a longer time. So that's how the history functions. Anxiety is the other thing. That other than ADHD, the anxiety people also, there's a lot of anxiety, they don't know what to do, and alcohol just depresses everything down. Cannabis just soothes you and makes you feel comfortable.
Moving forward, how do you think we can educate the youth, the next generation, on effects of excess use of anything, whether it be a screen, whether it be sugar, whether it be like you said, vapes,
Anything.
or whatever it may be, any substance, anything. How do you think we can educate the much younger crowd so that when they are 16, 17, 18, like you said, they have access to everything in there, and they get bored, and it is almost a replacement to the boredom. How do you think we can do that?
I think we need to educate all generations. We need to educate the older generations also, and the newer, and the ones that are still going to be there, because everybody's got a lot of misconceptions and myths about all these things just floating around. And not that I am some universal expert or Google myself, because we also learnt through somebody itself, and we've seen. But now we are exposed to it on a daily basis, so we're able to see that what you're talking about, screen addiction. Now, the mother and father are on the screen the whole day and they're saying मेरा बच्चा भी वही करता है, तो वो बच्चा वही सीखने वाला है जो तुम कर रहे हो. तुम अचानक से बोलोगे आप मत करो, लेकिन मैं पूरा दिन ये कर रहा हूँ, वो भले तुम काम कर रहे हो, nobody is doubting that, but then you can't expect the child to not do it, because
Yeah.
that's what modeling is all about. You're seeing somebody do it, so what you do is very important so that your child learns from that, or society, children learn from what this generation is doing. More than teaching them, the more you teach, impose, threaten, इतना फर्क नहीं पड़ता उनको. कितना भी तुम पनिश कर लो, आज के बच्चों को पनिशमेंट का आज के किसी को भी फर्क पड़ता ही नहीं. आफ्टर अ पॉइंट you become resistant or rebellious, or you just go into a shell. But that's not teaching anybody, that's just defiance. If you want to teach, you have to model it. That's one way of teaching. By
Correct.
examples, by showing this, by showing that, by showing a good side also. So educating them in a way which shows them the good and bad, and then let them take a decision. Not like I said, the cannabis propaganda, सिर्फ भला ही बोलते रहो या सिर्फ बुरा बोलते रहो, क्योंकि मैं फिर उल्टी साइड पे आ जाता हूँ, तो मैं सिर्फ बुरा बोलता हूँ, तो फिर पेशेंट बोलते हैं डॉक्टर सिर्फ बुरा ही बोलते हैं यार, बाकी दुनिया वाले तो गांजा पी रहे, ठीक है, खुश है, उनको तो नहीं हुआ है, क्योंकि नहीं होता उनको. 70% लोगों को नहीं होता है कुछ, 30% कोई जो गड़बड़ होती है वो हमारे पास आते हैं. सो educating them in the right way and giving them the option to choose, the autonomy, the power to and freedom to make decisions, very important. But give them the correct information. I can't only give them one-sided biased information and then
Yeah, like if I tell my son
Yeah.
do not use the screen, his answer is all my friends do it.
all my friends do it.
Yeah.
You do it. ऐसे ही बोलेगा, you do it the whole
No,
day.
even if I don't do it.
हाँ,
I'm saying even if I don't do it in front of him, his response is, you don't do it, good for you, but all my friends do it.
Don't do it.
It's allowed in every household. You're the only one who's strict. So you're right that balance somewhere
Correct,
has to be of good,
correct,
bad,
correct.
and then let them choose.
Correct.
Everything, if it's told to you, you don't want to follow it. That's
Yes.
human nature.
We have to pick our battles. With the children, you have to pick your battle. You have to see कि चलना screen भी देख रहा है, देख ले भाई. It doesn't go towards the other ones, maybe chalo, then we have to choose.
Yeah.
If we know there's a tendency in certain families or in certain groups or certain के गांजा तो पिएगा आगे जाके पता नहीं. So let's keep that out and screen चलेगा. क्या होगा, आँख खराब होगी, चश्मा खरीद लेंगे यार. Maximum का. If they're exposed to nonsense on that, how much is he going to get exposed to after a point in time? So you'll have to pick your battles. Do I want to correct him on everything? Or do I want to be like थोड़ा lenient, permissive or authoritative about certain things? Certain non-negotiables and certain things I'll be in between with.
I
So
think
that's what we
certain
have to do.
non-negotiables are a must by every family.
100%,
They're a
100%,
must. And I think they should be stated very early in life.
Clear on.
You can't start stating them at 18 because by then you've lost them.
18 तो हो चुका है.
Yeah, that's
वो
what I'm
तो
saying, you've
independent
lost
हो गया
them.
है. हाँ हाँ.
Because
At
nowadays
5,
people
6,
think,
to say,
yeah,
that's what
I
I'm
think 7, 8 is when they're
Yeah.
starting to become aware.
aware.
And I think 7, 8 is a good age to start having these conversations like this is okay, this is not
Not
okay, accepted by a family, not accepted by a family.
Correct.
Absolutely. So I would like to talk to you about another topic which I feel is not lightly taken by society, but it's happening more and more. Even now, people keep it under wraps. Even now, families don't talk about it when it happens within their family. But I feel like it's something we should talk about because it's becoming so prevalent in our community, in our society. And I would like to talk about suicide. So, suicide, I feel, is something people are still ashamed. You know, if somebody's brother, sister, mother, father has done it, they will say, no, the person passed away. There was a long-term disease we didn't know about. He was going through something, depression for the last 20 years. But then he was found sleeping, maybe an overdose. They won't talk about the fact that person jumped off a balcony or that person shot themselves or whatever the reason may be.
Correct.
So, can you enlighten us about how somebody gets there?
Okay, so in psychiatry, there is only one emergency, that's suicide. The moment the word suicide or self-harm is uttered from any patient or family, that's when a psychiatrist's emergency buttons are activated. Like, okay, now we have to be very... And we never take it lightly. We've been trained and taught over the last so many years and with so much evidence that somebody even mentions it lightly or in passing, take it seriously. It's always better to err on the side of caution.
That's why I come back to emotional regulation, what I was talking to you about.
Absolutely.
And I feel like the education on emotional regulation is so low, and this is across the board. I'm not talking about privileged kids, underprivileged kids, anybody. This is anybody and everybody. I feel it's almost essential to start teaching it in schools. What is emotional regulation? You know, if they start young, at least when they reach 14, 15, they might have, identity confusion. They might have sexual confusion, who they are, who they're not. And it's happening more and more because it's over-information also.
Absolutely.
They have information where they think, am I that? Am I that? Am I that also? Maybe I also am like that. I have not realized it.
Latch onto something.
latch on to something. Like I said, community belonging. So a lot of it is coming from the fact that you belong to something because you don't belong anywhere else. Let me belong to this community. It's associating with me and I'm able to relate to that. So I think emotional regulation is a very huge part of how you can deal with everything else in life. If you're able to emotionally regulate yourself or talk about how you feel to your parents, to your friends, people who might have a better answer than just your friends, because your friends might mislead you also. And it's not from bad intent, it's from the fact that they lack information that you lack yourself.
And they love you. They don't want to hurt you. So they will say things which you want to hear.
And it's almost like blind leading the blind. You know, I always say that to people who are 10, 11, 12 who I meet. And I'm just like, don't rely on your peers so much because it is a blind lead the blind situation.
It's not 10, 11, 12. 60, 70, 80 also they're still relying
No,
on
I'm
it.
saying they're not really looking for advice,
Correct,
but at least
correct.
the 11, 12 year olds are
Correct.
open to listening to this.
Correct.
So tell me, people who are generally attempting suicide or in that bracket, do you think largely it is escaping pain or do you think there are actual mental health issues?
Both. It's a mixture of both. That there is a mental health issue where they aren't able to cope with the kind of pain that they're being faced with. To you, it may be exaggerated. To me, it may be, this is my reality. For you, it's a different reality. So who are we to judge? It's their perspective versus our perspective. But rather than sitting on a stool and saying, "Acha, tujhe suicide karna chahiye, tujhe nahi karna chahiye," who are we? We just need to teach them that, fine, that's not the answer. There is help available. Let's sit and discuss it. Nothing in this world is worth your tears to that end or your life
Correct.
that you need to give it up without at least discussing it with a neutral person or with somebody who can have a different view compared to what you've been already told. So please go and talk. Anybody. And cost should not be a prohibitory factor. Cost is a prohibitory factor in India at least because therapy and psychiatry and all is looked at a little bit as a privileged thing and not everybody can go to it. I don't know any of my colleagues or friends who will reject a patient strictly based on cost that paisa nahi hai, chal mat aa karke. They will never do that. The people we work with and there are government hospitals which are excellent. The bad rep and name that government hospitals have is really uncalled for, at least in Bombay. I don't know about elsewhere. They're really fantastic places. Yeah, there's a waiting time, of course, because the volume is
Correct.
so high, but you will get a patient hearing, you will be heard out, you will get a good treatment, you will get a good group के लिए follow-up भी आएगा और सब 10-8 रुपए में हो जाएगा, 20 रुपए में, I don't know how much it is now, but that was the thing it is. And you get your medications free of cost. So it shouldn't be that it's a thing of the privileged and सिर्फ अमीर लोग ही जाएंगे थेरेपी के लिए और इधर नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं. आपको चाहिए तो मिलेगा, अब ढूंढना है तो मिल जाएगा. Just like
Can you tell us one of your most fascinating stories from addiction, almost suicide to recovery?
So there are patients, there's a guy who would be, say, in his late 20s, approaching 30, and very ambitious, very career-driven, but at the same time was never driven by money because he comes from a decently wealthy family. So unfortunately, the world's primary motivation is money today. 70-80% of us are driven by it because it's all over the place that you need to have 2 houses and 2 cars and do everything. So you need to make money for that. But when you come from a certain kind of privilege and a business family where you always had that excess and you never needed it, so your motivations are very different. That you want a name, then you want respect, and you want to stand up to your father or your father's credentials or your mother's or whoever it is. And you don't get that kind of recognition. You don't get that kind of success. So then you go into a dip. So we had this fellow who was 28, 29, studied abroad and came, and he had 2 problems. One was that he wanted to make it on his own, although he came from a really big family, and something totally different from what his actual family core business was. Yeah, so this guy then, as is from most privileged families, goes to America to study, as is good education in San Francisco, gets a fancy job there in either Meta or Apple or something, I can't remember now. Now there are 2 problems that I was saying. That one is that he's confused about his sexuality. He's not confused, actually, he knows, but the trauma and stress that a person from the LGBT community goes on within themselves before they come out is massive.
Correct.
For 8-10 years, he tried watching regular porn, trying to be with women, trying to be in every possible thing. And he's just saying, I can't, it's not possible. And then the trauma became multiple because he didn't want to do the business. And there was a set expectation from the family members. He was the apple of everyone's eye, blue-eyed boy in the family. Everything going for him in life. And the family thought, इधर आएगा, हमारा business take over कर लेगा और अच्छी धूमधाम से बड़ी शादी होगी, जैसे भांजे की हुई है, जैसे उसकी हुई है. And he disappointed them on both fronts. And from the age of 16, he knew that he's probably gay. And at 26 or 27, for 10 years after suffering and keeping it inside, from the people you love the most and who love you the most, your parents, he one day said it. And because the pressure to get married was getting too much on him, and they were distraught that how can it be, and बाबा जी का करम ऐसा हो गया, वो हो गया, let's go to a psychiatrist, shock देंगे, ये करेंगे, वो करेंगे. And at the same time, I don't want to do a business also. I don't like it. Business and transport, logistics, I don't know what. And he was a tech guy and he loved his tech and making algorithms or whatever. They said, you're not going back to America. They confiscated his passport. It's a crime. Huh? It's an FIR related arrest वाला crime है.
Correct.
कौन करेगा वो, उसको मालूम नहीं था. And his mother is like, I'm going to kill myself by suicide. I'm not going to live anymore if you do this. Stayed in India, got into every possible kind of addiction because he just couldn't cope. He said, either you let me die or let me go back. He said, no. So then he had access to pots and pots of money and he was adhering to what they said. They got him married.
They got him married?
Forcefully married. Imagine ruining the girl's life.
Correct.
And that whole family's life. A marriage is not between two people, it's between 200 people.
Correct.
In India, everywhere. So everybody's life ruined. They perpetually get him married forcefully. And he's then drinking, he's gambling, he's not there at home at all. He's going for his trips here and there outside, saying that I have to go for a business trip and that trip. He does enter the business finally at some level as something and goes to places where he can at least satisfy his sexual cravings, but he can't tell his wife and he can't tell anybody, and it's a huge thing. And finally the wife finds out. The wife's family finds out, and then it becomes a big, big issue.
Scandal.
Yeah, that what happened. And then he tries to kill himself. He tries multiple times by overdosing, by saying then 2-3-4 साल ये सब सिलसिला चल रहा है.
And they've
then
come to you in the middle of all
they've
this.
come to me. They've gone to every psychiatrist in Bombay that is available. Outside Bombay also they've gone. They've tried to keep it under wraps because they're known people. Not that they're so known, but still they're known to whatever their part of society is. And finally, then we had to put our foot down that we're not going to entertain this. Our unit in the hospital also said that we can't entertain all this. What is this? You please break off the marriage if it's possible, because there's no love, there's no respect, there's nothing in that marriage. It's just a sham. And it's ruining your son, ruining that girl's life, ruining everybody's life. And so what if he's gay? It's normal. There's nothing wrong. It's not some abnormality or something. That's how he is.
A lot of people think it's a mental disease.
It's a disease. Mental Durga, it's a disease. It's a shrap and a disease. You know. Detoxified him, got him out of addiction. 6-8 months was clean. Went to court, dissolved the marriage, practically annulled it to a certain level. Luckily, they didn't have children in that whole equation. That would have been the other thing. एक बार बच्चे कर दो सब ठीक हो जाएगा, एक बार ये कर लो सब ठीक हो जाएगा. All those stupid myths that they have about all this. And today the wife also is happy. It's been 2 years, 3 years now. This all happened during the COVID ka 2020, 2019.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so now he's also happy. He's clean 2-3 years now. He's become so clean that now he mentors other people in giving up alcohol because he's done every substance in the world. Right from the 10 rupees wala se leke 10 lakh wala, he's done everything possible. Because he had access and he didn't have access at a certain time. So, but today he's a very good friend also, more than anything. And he helps out a lot with dealing with addiction and rehabilitation and even suicide also. He says, I was there. He said, I was there. I was on the balcony 20 times, not once, twice. I've had whatever that phenyl or rat poison so many times. I've overdosed on sleeping pills. नहीं मरना था, अपने नसीब में नहीं लिखा है. But he business कर रहा है अभी, जो भी है, बोलता है चलो यही करना पड़ेगा, बात नहीं जानते. So but it's a good story at the end of it because he definitely did come out of it. Took a long time, 3-4 relapses, 2-3 admissions, really bad, really violent. आप लोग कौन होते मुझे जिंदा रखने वाले? Why are you all helping me? That went back and forth. Realized.
That's amazing. That's beautiful. That at least I'm really proud of somebody who can actually put themselves together.
Absolutely.
Because once you break, you know, it's like glass breaks, threads break. It's very hard to put it back together. And if someone can, no matter what it took, put themselves back together, I think it's absolutely brilliant. And I'm sure with the right help, with the right mentors, with the right medication, all of that combined, it's only possible. Otherwise, it's not possible to do it yourself.
Exactly.
You've hit rock bottom. It's not possible to say, okay, you know what, now I've realized this is life, I have to come back. It doesn't happen. So can you lastly tell us, what is the best way to check up with somebody? Like, are you okay is obviously not a question. People don't really respond to that with real feelings. How do you think we can check in with someone and they feel like they can connect with us and answer us back?
See, if you know the person, firstly, you'll automatically, if you just observe them, rather than just keep on talking and giving your views to them and your advice to them and your recommendations that nobody wants. If you just observe them and if you see that there is a change in their mood, behavioral patterns, the responses, the amount they used to come out, or now they're more in a shell, or they've stopped taking self-care, or they're just not in that zone for an extended period of time. 2-3 महीना हो गया अभी व्हाट्सएप पे एक्टिव नहीं है इतना, या अभी फोन इतना नहीं आता है, या जो भी है, पोस्टिंग कम हो गया, anything that you see is out of the ordinary, or it's gone up also the other way also. Just suddenly there's extreme posting of rubbish and content which just doesn't make sense. Or as I said, self-care and the talkativeness has become more or less. Sleep patterns have changed. Suddenly they've let themselves go. They don't
Mostly
groom
people let themselves go.
Putting on weight, or not that it's a bad thing or a good thing, but somebody who was conscious about it, who's no more interested or inclined. See, it could be a lot of things. It could be that they just realize that life may be sort of relax karo. That also could be one aspect, but you can talk to them by, are you okay is a very direct question. Like, you can always ask, how are things? What's going on in life? You can always just try to get feelers in. If they aren't opening up, and if you feel very strongly there's something, you can talk about yourself. Sometimes you can only give a personal example and say, I had, about yourself only, rather than my cousin and my uncle. You always say, I had a similar episode just now. I also don't know deal. And then when you start talking, they may start talking. Ignite करना पड़ता है थोड़ा कभी-कभी. 1 or 2 techniques that are there. Otherwise, you just play it by knowing the other person and their strengths and this and that at that point in time. It helps out a lot.
So now we're going to get into our last section, which is burst the bubble. I'm going to shoot a few questions to you and you can give me some fun answers. So let's go. If Shame had a job in addiction, what would his job title be?
Overhyped and creator of a lot of havoc and loss of control in people. It's too overhyped. We get shameful about too many things unnecessarily.
What's one cliche in mental health conversation that needs a makeover?
Not one. There are many. बच्चे पैदा करोगे तो ठीक हो जाओगे, शादी करोगे तो सब इसका प्रॉब्लम निकल जाएगा, ये खाना ठीक से नहीं खाता इसलिए ऐसा हो रहा है, उसके बुरे दोस्त थे, उसकी संगत बुरी इसलिए ये बुरा हो गया, रिहैब जाएगा एक बार तो ठीक होगा, tablets are very dangerous. Coming from a person who's taking all sorts of substance, is saying tablets are very dangerous. So these are very, very common cliches that we need to get rid of.
If you could whisper one thing into every addict's ear at 3 a.m., what would it be?
Don't worry, I'm there. Come to me. Okay.
What gives you hope even after working with the darkest parts of the human mind?
It's not about victory and loss when we deal with mental health. It's a part of life. You need to align with the fact that you are going to have bad days, good days. You deal with strong, weak, good, bad, white, black, everything. That learn to embrace the grays, embrace the middle paths. Nikal jata hai time. Acha ho jayega.
Lastly, what's more addictive today, substances or scrolling?
Oh, scrolling. In worldwide, anywhere you go, scrolling is very, very, very addictive. It's across the board. Substances mein abhi bhi itna nahi hai. There are certain populations who are still kept away from it. Scrolling to now from dadi se leke till that chota bachcha, everybody's scrolling. There's nothing that you can stop in that. It's like that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rohan. It has been an amazing, amazing conversation. And I hope people find depth and information that I did in this conversation.
My pleasure. Thank you so much
Thank
for having
you.
me here. Hi, I'm Dr. Rohan Bokrawala. I had a great chat with Ashna on the Therapy Diaries about dopamine, habits, and why our brain is always chasing the casino jackpot. You can catch the episode on YouTube, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.